All right. Well, welcome to the Nino and Tierney podcast. We're glad to have you with us. And hopefully you're learning some new valuable information that you can apply to your business each day. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. You probably noticed that Paul Nino is not on with me today. I thought it would be good to maybe include some other professionals in our podcast and maybe discuss some resources that you might want to look into as a business owner. So fortunate enough today, we have Rhett Gagon with us to discuss cost segregation studies. So Rhett is a partner with Cost Segregation Authority, and has a Bachelor of Arts degree from BYU. He joined their organization in 2010, and he said that he's helped his clients complete thousands of these projects. So Rhett, welcome to our podcast.
Thanks, Steve. It's an honor to be invited. So I look forward to the opportunity to offer what I can.
So first of all, I think we talked about, or at least you sent over your resume, and I saw BYU on there, and so I think we just need to figure out exactly. So did they play in a bowl game this year? And I mean, they had an interesting season, I think.
Oh, BYU football! What a year! the year that we never know what could have been, what might have been. They did, yeah. They crushed the team, just like all the others, other than Coastal Carolina. I think they've been given a full week to prepare, other than 2 days.
So what bowl did they play in?
It was down in you know how they've got all weird names now, but it was down in Florida.
It was the Cheez-It, Chick-fil-A, Alamo, whatever bowl. Is that what it was?
Yeah, some online.com. Well, I don't remember. Boca Raton. Maybe that.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, but it was fun to watch them crush another team again. We never won in Florida, so we killed that curse. So anyway.
Now I think that, I'm a bit of a UW fan, although I didn't go there and stuff. Now I think that they were supposed to play, but did BYU back out of that game?
It didn't happen quite like that, but I appreciate the snub. No, it was basically, hey, we can back out at any moment, but why don't you free up your schedule so that you can play us, but we can do whatever we want. And it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
But I appreciate you reminding me of that fun week.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we should talk about, so tell me about, what are cost segregation studies then?
Yeah. Cost segregation studies are basically an analysis on any real estate investment property that breaks down the building from its core shell and the structure of it, and identifies all the little assets within that actually have different tax lives. And the purpose of the cost seg study is to correctly identify the class lives of those assets, so that they're all not lumped together in the building, and it actually comes out advantageous for the real estate owner. Yeah.
So typically, like when a person buys a building or constructs a building, the useful life, especially if it's commercial property, it's like 39-year assets. So you've got this building that you've got to essentially depreciate over 39 years. So if $1 million building, you're getting just a little tiny sliver each year over 39 years. And so you got to wait a while to recoup all your costs. Whereas if you do a cost segregation study, you can dramatically reduce that. Is that right? Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you buy that $1 million property, there's so much more to it than just the core and shell, right? I mean, you've got the flooring, and you've got lighting, you've got cabinetry, you've got plumbing, electricity, and all of those things, and so much more of that. And depending on the property type, there could be a lot of specialty things too. You think of medical offices and whatnot, or restaurants, but so much of that just simply get, like you said, unless it's broken out, you just get, you might get on $1 million property, maybe you'll get $20,000 of a deduction every year for the next 39 years. But utilizing a report, a certified report from a cost segregation specialist, and that benefit can drastically improve under the current tax law. I mean, that can go from $20,000 and a property that size, $20,000 to close to $200,000 or $300,000 in the first year. So
Sure. Yeah. With all the bonus depreciation that,
Right.
although who knows how long that's going to last for, but
Always changing. Yeah.
yeah, always changing for sure. And the useful lives are always changing. But yeah, anything that if you can get that asset under a 20-year life, you can basically expense all of it in the current year, which is like a huge amount of assets, I think.
Right. And that's what we try to tell the real estate owners, that look, you have access to these tax benefits simply by identifying them correctly. But if you don't,
Mhm.
it's just money that you've left on the table, or that you've overpaid the government in taxes that you could have
I guess,
otherwise.
yeah, and so it's almost like a time value of money thing, I guess I would say, because you'll get the benefit at some point. It's
Sure.
just way down the road as opposed to getting that deduction right now, I
Right.
guess.
And I don't know how many properties that you've seen that, have carpet that's 40 years old, or cabinets that are 40 years old, right? So
Right. Yeah.
most of the time, these assets, other than maybe my own house, right? I mean, but other than, but those assets are likely to be replaced 2 or 3 times in that 40-year period. And so the advantage of depreciating that is totally thrown out the window. And,
Yeah.
and then you end up depreciating cabinets that don't even exist anymore, and
Right.
carpets that are long
Yeah.
since been gone, but it's still stuck in that cost.
Yeah. So I guess who is a good candidate for a cost segregation study then?
That's a great question. I think collectively across the country, the understanding, has typically been, you know, those that own significant sized properties, right? 5, 10, $15 million of properties, but we've really been able to narrow it down and provide advantage to those that maybe, have much smaller properties, anywhere from, $500,000. Maybe that could be a rental property, or $1 million property. It's and any of those, that really anybody that's bought a real estate and has made an investment in that, for investment purposes. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the cost, or at least the known factor of these, is much more available to the common owner, I suppose, as opposed to maybe 15, 20 years ago when, like you said, it was like, hey, you've got this $10 million
Right.
property. Now like I said, we've got a client that you and I work together with, and it's just a couple $1 million property, and
Yeah.
huge tax benefits for him, I know. So
Yeah. Initially, like you said, in its infancy, it was your big four, big eight, CPA firms that all had the manpower to enact those, but their fees were astronomical. And so it kind of just got left on the wayside. As I said, this isn't for the little guy. This is for the big corporations that are buying their huge properties, huge buildings. But it's, we've really made an effort, and others have too, to bring it more to firms that better service.
yeah.
Other clients.
So does it have to be a building that you construct, or could it be, just a remodel, or like a rental property that you buy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes others, they'll tell us, hey, this building was built, in 85, or and I respond to them, look, the building could be 300 years old, and it wouldn't matter. What the IRS looks at is the day that you purchase it, right? And the depreciation starts over again that day. You've got 39 years from that year that you purchase it. So regardless of how old the property is, if it's new to you, then it's eligible. Yeah.
So I understand, allocating those costs if it's a brand new constructed property, so you would know how much the fixtures are maybe, or how much you spent on the carpet. But if it's like, if I went and I bought a used building, do you guys have a formula that you use to allocate the purchase price then, or do they have to come up with that themselves?
No, that's all on us. I mean, that's exactly why we're hired to do that, because it's unless you have an expertise, like you said, in construction or costing, or, I mean, if I buy a $5 million property or $1 million property, how much of that property belongs to the windows, the doors, the flooring and all of that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, we use nationally accredited software to put cost to that. And we visit each property. Every, certified report's should have a visit. Given COVID, a lot of those have been taking place virtually, but nevertheless, we've got to see every property, and then we take that information and put costs to everything that we find.
I'm going to put you on the spot maybe a little bit, but so have you ever had these challenged by IRS then?
Sure. Yeah, but to give you frame of reference, I mean, we've done thousands of studies. I think, approaching 10,000 studies, and we've this past year had our 11th audit. So, I mean, less than a fraction of a percent, right? I mean,
wow.
But still, it's important that, I mean, I wouldn't want a report done. Here's a good case, right? We had a client in Southern Utah that reached out to us because he said, I renovated this property and I did my own cost seg. Well, he was audited, it was looked at, and it was thrown out.
Okay.
So he reached back to us, and we actually, in fact, got him more benefit. Even though he had all the costs in front of him, he didn't know everything that was eligible, right? And so not only did we give him a greater benefit, but the IRS looked at it and complimented our report, and it was solidified and taken care of. So yeah, we have been challenged, but we've never had to make a change to the audit. But it is something that gives a lot of peace of mind.
Well, I would think, I mean, if I was an IRS auditor, and thankfully I'm not, but I mean, if somebody were to basically say, yeah, here you go, knock yourself out, I'd be an auditor, be like, okay, I'm not even going to look at that issue type of thing.
And that's exactly what happens. And we've written our report that way too. I mean, they'll look at our report and say, okay, why'd you take this? And why'd you take that? All right, that's good. I'm done. And we want to defend it too. I mean, we want to be called. Yeah.
So then, how far can a person go back, I guess, to amend or to make some adjustments? I bought a property, let's say 5 years ago. Are you out of luck on that, or?
Yeah, I love that you ask that, because one of the most common questions or misunderstandings is, this is something for new properties and only new properties. And the reality is that's not the case. There's a tax form 3115 that says, well, it's a change in accounting method, right? And the IRS says, look, you can take one accounting method and change it to another approved accounting method as well. And that allows the taxpayer to go back, and they don't have to amend their return actually. By filing this 3115, no amended returns need to happen, and we can go back and really you can go back as far as it makes sense. We'll do a preliminary analysis before we even get into the nuts and bolts of it, just to see if it makes sense. A property could be 20 years old, but they paid a lot for it. There's a lot of basis still left, and so there may be some significant benefit to it. But it can be, go back 20 years, 15 years even can sometimes make sense. But yeah.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, that obviously would be a huge benefit, and we have a fair amount of real estate clients, and love to see them take advantage of these kinds of things. So
yeah, and it's something that we'll take care of. That we want to make sure that it makes sense up front too. I mean, you'll have a good idea within a day or two of reaching out, and we can give you a good idea.
You guys can kind of give them an estimate, I guess, of what. Okay. Yeah. Cost benefit.
What it'll look like, what it would cost them to do it. And if it even makes sense, and we'll let you know, it doesn't make sense, or you can decide that based on the benefit and the fee. So, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. So, and I also saw that you're a big skier. Is that true as well?
I love it. Yeah. I do love to ski. My favorite is actually skiing on the water. I think I grew up in Utah, and there's a lake. Many you may know it, your listeners may know it, Lake Powell, but it's my haven. I can sit for hours at night there, and then get up early, and that's my favorite, is to water ski. But I love snow skiing as well.
Where have you skied in Utah then? Snow skied?
Yeah, that's primarily where. I also grew up there, so.
Where have you skied in Utah? Snow skied. Have you done Park City?
It's easier so everywhere from Park City, Brighton, Snowbird, Solitude, all, Alta. Most of the resorts
Yeah.
In the Salt Lake Park City area.
We try to
And
get
highly recommend it. If any of you like to ski, come out. Greatest snow on earth. So
we love it up there. It's a great area. So anyways.
Good.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we will hopefully be able to do some business here in the future.
Love to. Yeah, no, it's been great, Steve. Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity.